Conventionally, when we think about knowledge and where knowledge is produced, we think about the university. But of course, the university is a highly exclusionary, elitist space. A large proportion of scholars are from white, male, middle-class backgrounds. So this then poses an interesting question. What do we do with the knowledge that is produced in such exclusive spaces? Some scholars would argue that it's helpful to have a key set of texts that all students should be exposed to. But also, we should be careful of who is excluded. We see a number of scholars that are being taught everywhere. For example, Karl Marx, Weber, Jürgen Habermas. If we bring these scholars into conversation with other voices, we gain a better understanding of their silences, of the issues that they didn't discuss in their scholarly work. Jürgen Habermas is a very influential scholar from Germany who has shaped the nature of the social sciences, and this is primarily due to his notion of the public sphere. He gave a history of a space that emerged in 17th and 18th century England, France and Germany, where people were debating matters of public concern. Media scholars found this concept really helpful to think about how the role of new technology enabled public debate. I looked at the newspapers and the coffee houses that Habermas described as being crucial to the emergence of this new public space. And what I found is that they were inextricably tied to slavery and the slave trade. He described the coffee houses as meeting spaces where sailors, merchants, kind of new elites came together. But we need to understand what they were doing in those spaces. They were often discussing how to arrange the transport of enslaved people. And also the newspapers often served as modes of advertisements for the recapturing of enslaved people who had escaped. And I was quite surprised to find out that there was no mention of this in his book. The kind of racism that is associated with these historical processes continues to shape public spaces as we speak. We can think, for example, how digital technology kind of produces different sort of racialized biases through algorithms. Or we can think about the way in which Black women experience discrimination and harassment on social media and how this is often not really policed. If we do not understand the longer history, we fail to understand the nature of racialized publics. And we can kind of reinvent Habermas's work and kind of reread it through the prism of race in order to understand how this unfolds also in our contemporary digital age. These texts are still very influential and they're probably not going to go anywhere. It's not sufficient to simply center voices from the margins because it leaves the center intact, and we need to question these dominant forms of knowledge. If we continue to reproduce these silences, we also reproduce the university as a highly exclusionary space. If we bring the text more into conversation, we can also understand why inclusion is important and why the current state of the university is problematic.